Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here live on our YouTube and Facebook channels. We're really excited to be here today to share with you some information about nature walks from our amazing Youth Advisory Council members. So, my name is Lauren. I'm the Roots and Shoots Manager at the Jane Goodall Institute of Canada, and I have the immense pleasure of supporting our Youth Advisory Council over their term with us. Our Youth Advisory Council is made up of 12 members from across Canada, from all over. We have members from BC, Quebec, Alberta, and Ontario and PEI this year. We're just finishing up our term with our current members. They're going to be wrapping up their term with us in June, and we have a whole new cohort of amazing young people starting with us in July. So if you are interested, if you are 18 to 25 and are Canadian and are interested in joining our Youth Advisory Council, you can check it out on our website on rootsandshoots.ca. If you go there, you can find the link to the Advisory Council page and find all the information about kind of becoming the youth voice of our organization, supporting us with resources, programs, presentations like this one. And we're actually going to be having an amazing nature walk guide being released next month as the culmination of this cohort's work that will incorporate some of the stuff that Chloe's going to be talking about today. So keep an eye out on our website. We'll be launching that shortly. We're really excited. It's a beautiful guide that goes through the 4 months or the 4 seasons of the year, and how you can engage and get involved with nature and get outside through summer, winter, fall, and spring. So in ways that are art-based, are science-based, are kind of spirituality, wellness based, and just a way to kind of connect with nature throughout the year here in Canada. So, without further ado, I'm going to add Chloe, who is our Youth Advisory Council member, who will be speaking with us today and sharing her scientific view of nature walks. So, welcome, Chloe. Did you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Chloe Chang. Pronouns are she, her, and I'm normally based out of Guelph, also known as Treaty 6 territory. And so I'm super, super excited and pumped up to talk to all of you today about nature walks. I'm actually outside right now in the middle of a field day in a corn and soybean field. So I hope the Wi Fi stays good, and I'm so excited.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Chloe, for joining us. We're really excited to hear all you have to say about nature walks. If anyone has any questions, you can pop them in the chat box on our Facebook or YouTube channels, and we'll get to them at the end. And we also have a class, Isabella Stellon, grade school, joining us in studio today. So if any of you have any questions, you can hop on the video or just pop a question in the chat as well, and we'll answer those at the end. So I'm going to add the presentation, and I'll leave it to Chloe to start her presentation. Thank you, Chloe.
Thanks so much, Lauren. Okay, everybody. So I hope you're all super, super excited to talk today about nature walks and kind of how they're a lot more than what you might expect. So we'll get right into it. Just to give a little land acknowledgement. So currently I'm in a different place than I usually am, but normally I'm based out of Treaty 6 territory, which is also known as land for the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee people. And land acknowledgements are really, really important because a lot of cultures, including ours, in ways that we don't really pay attention to, but especially those of Indigenous peoples, are super, super connected to the land. Things like traditions, food, and spirituality are all tied into the land and how we take care of it. And so, land acknowledgement is really important for settlers to remember that isn't this was somebody else's as you go forward living in Canada. So, on that note, I wanted to give a quick little background on what the term biodiversity is, because that is kind of the thing that I like to highlight in a nature walk. There are 3 different types of biodiversity, but generally the biggest definition of it is that it describes variety of living things at so many different scales. And variety just means like differences. So if we look at the picture on the right, there are two different types of mountainscapes, and they're halfway across the globe from each other. And so you can see how they look super, super different. Both of them are mountains, but they look crazy different. Their climates, so the rain that they get, the temperatures, the type of rock, so the types of soil and the types of trees that can grow are all different. And so there's diversity, there's variety in those two different types of mountains. And you think about that's just mountains. That's two different types. What about all the different types of landscapes that we have? There's so much diversity in there, and it supports more diversity of living things. So, going to that middle picture, that is a picture from the mountain, and those are a whole bunch of different species of flowers that are growing there. And you can see there are like at least 10 just of flowers alone. But then, what about the grasses? What about the insects that are going to those flowers or going to live on those plants? It supports so, so, so much. And finally, at the smallest scale, we have something called genetic diversity. Now, genetic means the sort of blueprints that make up you and me and how we're different from each other. You and I are both human beings, all the same species, but why do we look different from each other? Why am I only 5'3", a little bit short, and some of my friends are like super, super tall? Those are all based on genetic differences. Variety in genetics is super duper important for biodiversity too. And variety across all of these scales supports resilience, the ability to bounce back from things like climate change, because you have friends to support you. You have variety. You have people who can take on different jobs and do different things. And so when we go talk about nature walks, we want to try to keep biodiversity in mind and all the different scales we can notice it at. However, we are currently losing the Earth's biodiversity, and a lot of it's actually even going unnoticed. So, of course, we think about amazing mammals like polar bears and pandas and certain the monarch butterfly, but we're actually losing a crazy amount of turtles and frogs. We're losing so many insects that we don't even know like the names of yet. We haven't even discovered them. Plants, algae, and corals. So that's what that super sharp line is, all because of some of the impacts that human beings are making on this planet. But there are a lot of ways that you and I can make a difference and try to help work on that, or even just appreciate biodiversity. Because, in my opinion, that also helps to make it a little bit better. How, so, how can you appreciate and preserve biodiversity? Well, let's get right into it. Nature walks are one of my favorite ways to do that just because they're so accessible. And so last year I did another webinar about nature walks and just how you and I can do science and contribute to like fancy papers and research that important people can make decisions on. And so I'll jump into that a little bit with this talk, but we also wanted to balance that out with Indigenous and spiritual aspects of nature walks too, because it's not always about, well, I'm doing this all for science and I'm trying to make the world better. Sometimes a nature walk is a great way to take a break. It's an amazing way to connect with the land and to remember where we all come from. Nature is all around us and we have so much to appreciate about it. And even if you're around a place that is all concrete, you're in the city, there's still little plants that are growing in the cracks. There are still pigeons flying over, and they have so much genetic diversity. Have you ever seen how pigeons can look gray with little purplish feathers, or like some of them are white, some of them are brown? They're all the same species, but that is genetic diversity. And then there are peregrine falcons that will swoop from the top of skyscrapers to go catch those pigeons. There's species diversity. There is nature absolutely everywhere. We can't run away from it. And you just got to sometimes look a little bit harder depending on where you are to find it. If we could go to the next slide. So, just reiterating, I wanted to talk with this chat about two different types of nature walks and maybe how you can merge them together. So, scientific walks usually incorporate something called citizen science. And that is one of the things that makes me the most excited because it's when I can just not know anything about mosses, for example, and all of a sudden I can help contribute to mosses. People just like you and me can work on a project and give data, give information that scientists can use and work on and publish and give to the right people to make amazing decisions. If we go to the next slide, I will show you some of my favorite citizen science projects. So these are ones that are all found within Canada, and you might have already taken part of one. Things like the Great Backyard Bird Count are when you just look in your backyard, you have a certain app on your phone, and you write down the species that you're seeing at maybe if you have a bird feeder and what time of year. Another really big app that's popular nowadays is called iNaturalist. You might have heard about this one, and it's super awesome because you just download it for free on your phone and you can take a picture of something from a plant to a mushroom to an insect to a bird, and they'll have artificial intelligence try to tell you what species it is. I think that's so cool because I like to know what species are around. I found out so many different types of cool trees, even just in my neighbors' yards or like on the sides of the sidewalk, that I'm like, oh, I know the name of that now. And I like knowing the name of something just because it helps me to remember it and it gives it an identity. Because otherwise it's just another tree. When I give it a name, it's like, oh, it's that tree and I care about it. I have a nice connection to it. Getting back to the science part though, when I take the picture and maybe it gets identified, what can happen is other people on the website will also help you to identify it. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, Chloe, that's a catalpa tree. The AI did a really good job identifying it, and I can confirm it because I like studying trees. So other people will confirm it or tell you what they think it is. Like, actually, Chloe, I think that's an American basswood. And then eventually, if you get enough people confirming that it's a certain species, it becomes research grade. And that can be used for research. That's used by scientists. And a similar thing can happen with observations if you look at the bottom left picture, the Cornell lab. So you can download apps for that too, where you're identifying bird species. Other ones that are really, really cool include things like looking for invasive species. So the top right picture, kind of more pet species that aren't supposed to be in Canada. But not only do they have important implications on affecting our native species, they also are really bad for our forestry industry, for agriculture. That picture of the really pretty spotted lanternfly in the middle is actually going to be a really big problem with grapes. It's found in the States right now, and it's only a matter of time before it comes up to Canada. But with people like you and I keeping an eye out, because there aren't enough scientists in the world to do that, we can get a better idea of, oh, it's here in this spot now, and we can take action on it right away. And then the bottom right takes care of certain species that we don't pay attention to all the time, like milkweed and frogs. Cassandra is my friend who couldn't be here today, but um, she wanted to talk to all of you about the spiritual aspect of nature walks. She comes from the Sault Ste. Marie, but she is an Indigenous person. She is Anishinaabe. And so the perspectives that she has on a nature walk and her connections with nature are really different from mine because I'm a biologist. I love looking at something and being like, how does it work and what's going on? And I was always so appreciative of how Cassandra could look at something and not just be like, oh, that's that, and walk away like I do. She would be like, well, we use this for medicine. This is something that's really important to me because it grows here and it supports this species that we hunt. Or this is something I grew up with, and we're trying to take care of it as stewards of the land. And so some of Cassandra's favorite wellness activities include just going out on walks with her friends, because that's where you can really appreciate nature and remember where you are. So, how do we tie together science, which is normally what my brain goes to, and spirituality in a nature walk? Well, just like Cassandra's favorite activities going together, that's a great way to get a bunch of different opinions. When I've gone on walks with Cassandra, that's how we've had the most fun walks ever, because I'm out there being like, oh, I think I just heard a Savannah sparrow singing. And Cassandra will be talking about how amazing those songs are. And then it's also really cool to get different perspectives. Again, it's almost like variety, diversity of opinions, and how we all exist as different people and can bring it all together to get the strongest and best things out of a nature walk. So go for walks with your friends. See what different opinions they have. Maybe they know things you don't. Maybe you're teaching something new. Either way, it's a lot of fun. And so this is a picture of a nature walk that the whole youth advisory council went on some beautiful territory called Nishingaming. And that's in more, I guess, northern Ontario, although I'm from the very, very, very southwest. So everything is north to me. But it was a lot of fun to get there and talk with some Indigenous peoples that normally live on that land, to show us what they knew and what level of connection they had to the land. So I didn't have a lot. Um, and this is a story she told me that really, really touched me, because on that picture, the left photo is of paintings that were made by Indigenous peoples hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And it was really important to her and her family. It's important to the culture of people because that's their history. They don't really have museums for all of the stuff that they did. A lot of it got destroyed, a lot of it was missing. And this was something that got to stay where it was, where it was put. That's amazing too. But if you look at the picture on the right, that's how far away the water's been creeping.
It looks like Chloe's having some technical difficulties, so I'm just gonna step in. Yeah, so you can see that the water's really kind of getting close to where the rock art is. So it's unfortunate that it is getting close and kind of coming into contact, and hopefully it will get preserved and maintained where it is. But I think something that I think is so resonates with kind of Chloe and Cassandra's views of both science and spirituality is that the earth gives us everything that we need. And it's so important that we protect it, that we preserve it, that we maintain it so it's here for us and many generations to come. I'm lucky enough to be a mom myself, and I just hope that this beautiful earth and world is here for my um, children as well. Chloe, sorry, I just stepped in because you broke up a little bit there. Okay, I think Chloe's still having some technical
year
difficulties, so
after
we're
year
just gonna.
because of climate change.
Thanks, Chloe.
So in history to know.
Okay, sorry everyone. Being in the field, I know it can be a little bit difficult to have some technology. So I'll just take Chloe off for a sec, let her reset, and then hopefully she can join us for the end. But I do think it's really important that we all get out in nature, that we do everything that we can to protect it. Roots and Shoots is such an amazing way that youth can get involved to take action on issues that they see are happening in their natural world, to make the world a better place for people, animals, and the environment. So I think some of the major takeaways that Chloe and Cassandra wanted everyone to know was that obviously biodiversity is super crucial for both the survival and the fulfillment of human beings. We are part of this earth too. We can't survive without biodiversity, without the amazing plant and animal life on this planet. We are dependent on them too. And so by preserving biodiversity, we're also helping to preserve our own survival on this planet. So not only for the animals and the plants themselves, but for us too, because we're all connected, like Jane Goodall always talks about, as people, animals, and the environment. And then you can learn to admire and contribute to conserving biodiversity through nature walks. You can take part in these amazing citizen science initiatives that Chloe mentioned, and will share on our website as well. Everything from nature counts and invasive species counts. So important to contribute to that science and that conservation efforts, and also learning to walk with nature, being a part of it. With the Youth Advisory Council, we've been lucky enough to have some amazing workshops that have contributed to our understanding of wellness, of biodiversity, of conservation. And sometimes, we go for walks, we have our headphones in, we're just kind of like in our own heads, but take those headphones out, take a deep breath, listen to the sounds, the birds, the insects, the wind, the breathing in that fresh air really helps ground you and connect you in that space that you're in. I know I love to listen to a good podcast when I go for a walk, but sometimes it's really nice to just take those headphones off and just really connect to being in nature. And one of the best quotes I think Jane has ever said was, every individual matters, every individual has a role to play, and every individual makes a difference. I think it's so key to understand and to know that you can make a difference. You can make the world a better place. And we do a lot of that work through our Roots and Shoots program, giving youth the ability and the space to see what are issues in their local community so they can take action to make the world a better place for themselves and their community. So if you are interested in learning more about our Roots and Shoots programs, you can check out our website to learn about our Youth Advisory Council if you wanted to get involved, to learn about how you can do a Roots and Shoots project. I know we have some Roots and Shoots groups joining us today, so I'm so happy to have you here. And it's been so great to learn and hear all about your projects this year. So thank you, everyone. If you want to check out some resources, I think they're listed here with the QR code, so you can check that out. And we'll have this posted on our website, on our YouTube and our Facebook channels to check out at any time if you weren't able to join us live. And I see Chloe's back, so I'm going to add her back. Hi, Chloe.
Hi everyone. I don't know what just happened. My internet was pretty stable, but I guess maybe it was. But
It's okay.
how does it?
It's okay. We just kind of
How,
made it work.
okay.
So I'm gonna just take down. I'm just gonna see if there's any questions, either from our viewers online on Facebook or YouTube, or from our group. Isabella Salon, do you guys have any questions? You can put them on the chat from your teacher. I know.
Sorry everyone about
That's
that.
it's okay. Technology sometimes doesn't work all the time, so we just make it work. Chloe, I wanted to know, I know you shared all these amazing apps to use. Have you ever seen any invasive species that you've reported or anything like that?
Absolutely. There's actually a really fantastic example of that I'd love to talk about. So, I personally report invasive species all the time. as I was saying, I'm actually in a farm field right now, and I can show all of you. But a lot of weeds that we have are invasive, and actually, a lot of the crops that we grow aren't native either. So, if a crop likes the land, so can an invasive species. Let's say that are from the same area. But to go back to the really cool example, there was a certain type of fruit fly that was found for the first time ever in Canada, and it was about it because someone reported it on iNaturalist.
Okay, sorry, Chloe. I think you're breaking up a little bit again, but I think it's great to know that you've seen those species. Not great for the environment, but good that that you were able to report them. So thank you everyone for joining us. I'll see if maybe we can get Chloe back for one more question, but I think she's still having some technical issues. But yeah, if anyone has any questions or has any comments about this, you can always email us. You can reach me at Lauren at JGI or sorry, janegoodall.ca. If you're interested in getting involved in any of the work that we do, we're always happy to have more people join our movement, helping support youth take action to make the world a better place. So thank you everyone for joining us. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties today, but that is sometimes happen. So we're just rolling with it. And thank you again for joining us. And yeah, so we're going to wrap it up here and we'll hopefully see you in our fall webinar series that we'll be doing. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be launching that in September, and keep an eye out on our website for our nature walk guide that our amazing YAC put together that will be available next month. So hope you have a great afternoon. Thank you so much. Bye.